Mr. Chairman, our political leader, Brother Deacon Mitchell, or shall I say the next Prime Minister of Grenada, Caribbean and Guinea. Other members of the platform, the media, brothers and sisters of Requin. It is indeed a pleasure to be here tonight to share the platform with the next Prime Minister of Grenada, Caribbean and Petit Martinique. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, as some of you may know, I see a lot of young people here. I used to be the General Secretary of the new National Party for at least 4 years. I represented St. David's, as some of you may or may not know, on 2 occasions. I was the very first ambassador to China. I served in London as the High Commissioner to the Court of St. James's, which is Buckingham Palace, on 2 occasions. But most of all, ladies and gentlemen, I have served St. David's and the people of Grenada well. I was in Germany yesterday, and of course I was speaking to a young gentleman, and he said, Mr. Whiteman, you have been the best representative we have had in St. David's, and we need you to continue helping Mr. Deacon Mitchell so we can get a good representative and the Prime Minister of Grenada. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, first of all, I want to talk about when you go to vote. The new National Party, all the people will go to vote, and they will be at the polls very early. Some of the NDCs tend to go to the polls, the line is long, so they leave and they go back home. Ladies and gentlemen, when you go to vote on election day, walk with a sandwich and walk with some water, walk with something, stay in line. The new National Party is not difficult to beat. When you look at the thousands of registered people who did not vote, all we have to do, they are registered, whether or not they get the new voting card, they must be allowed to vote. So get your friends, get your 1 in 10, your 1 in 20, and make sure you go to the polls early. Ladies and gentlemen, after many years, I come to realize that the leader or the owner of the new National Party do not have the interest of Grenada at heart. He do not have the interest of the people of Grenada at heart. Every move he makes, he does the necessary calculation, and he decides how he is going to benefit. And once he's going to benefit, then of course he takes the necessary decision. Ladies and gentlemen, the new National Party is the past. Brother Deacon Mitchell is the future. I say that again. Brother Deacon Mitchell is what I refer to as one of the most successful Grenadians. And when a man is successful in one particular field, he's likely to be successful in everything he undertakes to do. So I want to let you know that get your friends, get your family, go out and vote early. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be dismayed by the new National Party and the large crowds they have going about with them. What is actually happening, politics is all about perception. Politics is all about what people believe. So some people tend to think because of the crowds following the NNP, they're doing well. But Dr. Mitchell has the finances, and he can afford to take people from every parish to every meeting he's having. But when you look at Requin, 99% of the people here tonight are from Requin and the surrounding areas. We don't bring in people. I want to tell you, your presence here tonight, tell us that you're what you call, I'm trying to think of the right adjective. Just let's say you're people that is prepared to do the changes. And if we're going to change, we have to work together, and election day, go out and vote for the new National Party. Ladies and gentlemen, the things that Dr. Mitchell has done to many people, then today it is said, the things that you do leave after you. And Dr. Mitchell is bringing down himself based on his action and the way in which he has treated people over the years. I was one of the recipients of Dr. Mitchell, what you call the things that he has done to people. In fact, I have told you before, and you have heard me say it. Dr. Mitchell sent me to London to work as the High Commissioner. And when he told me he was sending me to London, he said, no housing allowance, no family allowance, no entertainment allowance. I lived in a little room about half the size. Now I would say about the size of this little frontage. That was the home of the High Commissioner. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a friend of mine who gave me a residence to live in London. Dr. Mitchell, he uses people. He's good at using people. During the election campaign, he gave me very little assistance. He said, Joss, you can manage. So while he was financing everybody else, I more or less had to finance myself. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mitchell is all about Dr. Mitchell. I went to Damon yesterday and the gentleman there said to me, Dr. Mitchell came to Damon twice. And he came to Damon twice because I brought him to Damon. That was about 10 years ago and he has not been back to Damon. Ladies and gentlemen, a gentleman asked me on a radio program, a television program 2 weeks ago. He said, Jocelyn, why now? And I said, it has not been no. I ran against the New National Party 4 years ago. I ran as an independent candidate. And I did not run as a candidate to win an election. I ran as a candidate to take a few votes from the New National Party, hoping that the NDC candidate would win. But unfortunately, he didn't quite make it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say again, Dr. Mitchell is all about Dr. Mitchell. And it's time that we open our eyes and realize that he's on his way out. Let me also tell you, if Dr. Mitchell passes today or tomorrow, who is going to be the leader of the NNP? You remember when Sir Eric Matthew Gary died, his party was buried with him. And when Dr. Mitchell goes, his party will go to him. So now that he has told the people of Grenada that this is his last time, we must take matters into our own hands and select a man that we think is capable of bringing proper representation to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So ladies and gentlemen, we're running late. I just wanted to be here tonight to endorse the candidacy of the next Prime Minister of Grenada, Brother Deacon Mitchell. So once again, I am pleased to be here. I am working night and day. I am calling people in London, America, Canada. I was on the phone all day today. And let me tell you, this gentleman that held the NDC together for the last 10 years or so, he will be on Heartbeat tomorrow. And I'm asking all of you to tune into Heartbeat and you'll hear what he has to say. And he has a lot to say, and very soon I am sure we'll find him on the NDC platform. Once again, I am pleased to be here. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some more noise for Mr. Jocelyn Whiteman. On a very serious note, right? Folks have been blessed with a lot of brothers and sisters. And they're all different parts of the world. And you know what each and every one of them saying? Except one in Grenada. All of them saying, time for the man to go. So I tell you what, right? On a very serious note, what I want you guys to do, you see when Mr. Deacon speak tonight, when he spell out his transformational plans, what I want you guys to do for me is to jot them down very carefully, and when people come and talk all kind of old thing in your head, say, hey, we had people in power for all these years and they never talk like that to us. They never spell out all these plans and ideas to us. So what I want you to do for me, just remember that and tell your children, call up your friends, don't quarrel with them. People want you to quarrel over politics, don't do that at all. Say, hey, you're not here for fight and quarrel. You're just here for plans and programs. You understand me? People, you're not here to fight with people. Make sure you explain to them, for example, pension and gratuity. We shouldn't have to fight for that at all. You understand me? Look at the education system. Look at the health system. And much, much more. But before, I don't want to go on too much and too much. Mr. Deacon is here, and he's quite capable of explaining himself much better than I would do. So ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for the man himself, Mr. Deacon Mitchell, the next Prime Minister of Grenada, Karakou, and Petit Martinique.
Good night, Requin. Good night, Requin. Good night, Requin Junction. I want to start by talking a little bit about myself. Because they're asking, who is he? Where he come out? Where he from? Where I was all the time. I will tell you who is he, where he was all the time, where he come out, where he come from. And when I don't tell you that, I'm going to tell you who we are, where we come from, where we've been all the time, and what we are about. I grew up in a small house on the corner after the old Anglican Skills Training Center. But when I was young, the Skills Center was open. Let me repeat that. I grew up in a small house after the corner by the Anglican Skills Training Center in PTS Branch. And when I was young, the Skills Training Center was open. I'm still young. I'm 44 years old today, but the Skills Training Center is closed. Let me say that again. I'm still young, I'm 44 years old, but the Skills Training Center is closed. And the Skills Training Center has been closed for about 30 years. Mark the timing, about 30 years. When I grew up, for a long time there was no running water in the house. For a long time there was no electricity in the house. You know where you used to go to get water? There were two standpipes. One after the Anglican Skills Training Center on the way to Mr. Bishop's shop. It's still there today. And the second standpipe used to be by California. Some of you all may be too young to know who California is or where California come from. But the standpipe still lay by California. In those days, you had to draw water from the standpipe to your room. And you're drawing water just for yourself. You're drawing water to make sure you fill up the blue barrels so that everybody in the house could get water to bathe, cook, clean, and wash with. And you have to do that before you go to school. You have to tie the goat and the sheep before you go to school. And then you still have to get ready and walk to school, and you have to get to school. You have to get to school? Good. So I went to St. David's RC School. And on lunchtime, you start to walk back home to get your lunch. And after you get your lunch, you walk back to school, and you have to make sure you're on time. And even though you're walking in the sun back and forth, if you come back hot and sweaty, the teacher still cutting your backside for wet back. So, I was educated in St. David's RC School. Teacher Japal, Teacher Peter, Teacher Margaretan, Teacher Sherilyn, Teacher Jean. Oh God, how to follow Teacher Jean. Teacher Valerie, Teacher Cynthia. We missing somebody. Who was the principal that died? Mr. McQuilkin. Who was the other principal that died? Miss Let. So when they ask you, where you come out, tell them I come out in PT Esperance. Tell them it's Teacher Let, Teacher McQuilkin, Teacher Cheryl Ann, Teacher Valerie. That's who educated me. So when I was in primary school, our teachers weren't teaching you to be stupid. Our teachers weren't teaching you to believe you can't be the next prime minister. Our teachers weren't teaching you to believe you can't be the next member of parliament for St. David's. Our teachers wasn't teaching you to believe you can't own your own home, drive your own car, educate your own children, start your own business, or have your own skills. When you go to school in St. David's RC School, or in Current Government School, or in Pomrose School, or in St. Dominic's, the teachers in St. David's are teaching you to be anything you want to be, any place, anywhere, anytime. And in those days, in St. David's RC School, by the time I passed common entrance at 11 years old, I was taught how to use a jack plane in the furniture shop by Mr. Maxwell in St. David's RC School. Let me say that again. By the time I passed common entrance at 11 years old, I was taught by Mr. Maxwell how to use a jack plane in the primary school. So when I passed common entrance and I went to Presentation College, I will tell you why I wanted to go to Presentation College. I looked at the men on PT Esperance. I saw Michael Andrews. They say Michael Andrews went to Presentation College. I saw Michael Dennis Lett. They say Michael Dennis Lett went to Presentation College. So when they ask me which school I go into, I say I go into Presentation College. They say, nah, go to BSS. I say, listen, that's what men who could run and play sports. I ain't win no medal when I was in St. David's RC School, but I always used to do some quiz, always used to do some debating, always represented the school all over the place. So I say, you know what? You would have 4 choices when you have to do what secondary school you want to. I put PBC, 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 PBC. You know why? Because I know I was going to Presentation College. So when I went to Presentation College, I didn't go secondary school, so that when I come back to St. David's, my grandmother knows and raised, or my mother knows and raised. I went to Presentation College because I know what they go through to put their children to school. So when I got the opportunity to go to Presentation College, I knew that I had to make use of that opportunity. But I didn't just make use of that opportunity. I met a lot of good friends in Presentation College. Aaron Thomas from Requin Junction, he just passed driving here. All you know, Tight Clothes? Tight Clothes used to run the bus. Tight Clothes, son and I. We were like brothers. He come out in Crochet RC School, I come out in St. David's RC School, and we go down to Presentation College. Some of you know Mr. Lawrence Lambert. He died. He was originally from Laura. He used to own Flamboyant Hotel. Mr. Lambert's son and I became good friends. Lance, good. So when we were in secondary school and we wanted a summer job, we go by Mr. Lambert in the hotel and say, Mr. Lambert, we want a work. He watch us, he laugh. He say, me, I know desk work for all, you know, all you look like good PVC boy, I know paper. I say, Mr. Lambert, we tell you we want a work. We didn't tell you we want a desk work or paperwork. I say, any work you have, we taking it. He didn't want to hear anything better than that. There's a tall building. It's the only building they kept up after they demolished Flamboyant Hotel. Me and the same Aaron Thomas dig the trenches for the foundation for that building. You have a carpenter named Carl in Latant, in Demon. Well, you know him. When I in secondary school, Carl bring me on top the roof in Flamboyant Hotel and show me how to pump the galvanized down. So that is what I did during the summer. We walk in the kitchen, we wash the wells. We mop the floor. We go on the roof of the hotel, we pump the nail, we cut the wood, we dig the trenches. So when they ask you where I come out, when they ask you where I've been, tell them when I was in Presentation College, I was working during the summer already. I have an uncle who died. His name is Olala. All you know Olala with the gas station in Penmuta? That's my uncle. When I wanted a little money in summertime, you know what I used to do? I used to walk from St. David's to the gas station in Penmuta, especially when it's Rainbow City weekend, because that's the only gas station that open. You know why? So I could pump gas when all them buses go in Rainbow City, so I could make a little money. So when they ask you where I come from, and when they're talking about bourgeois, and when they're talking about corporate lawyer, tell them long before I was a corporate lawyer, I knew how to use a jack plate. Long before I was a corporate lawyer, I knew how to put a nail on a galvanized. Long before I was a corporate lawyer, I used to mop a restaurant and a hotel floor. Long before a corporate lawyer, I learned to cook on the blocks. All you know who Stone is behind the station? All you know Evelyn behind the station? Well, when I didn't want to eat the mackerel on Good Friday, when I didn't want to eat the mackerel on Good Friday and we flying kite, that's who I learned to cook on the side of the road. So I could tell them, I could knead flour better than them, I could peel more provision better than them, I could clean saltfish better than them. So when they want to talk about working class and grassroots, tell them we could go to working class and we could do the grassroots too. Ask him if he could cook oil on the side of the road. Ask him if he know how to cook saltfish. He might know how to eat a little brown down in somebody's basement in New York. He might know how to eat a little brown down in somebody's basement in New York. But tell him, I was born, I was bred, and I was educated in St. David's. So when they ask if I'm ready, tell them I was born ready, I was educated in St. David's RC School ready, I was educated in Presentation Brothers College ready. So the lawyer part is the last part. And we don't need to talk about that. And the only time I've sued him, is when clients ask me to sue him. And if he wasn't wrong, they would have won their cases. The fact that they lose each and every single time should tell you. The fact that they lose each and every single time should tell you. So let me say this. Well, you have to forgive them. You have to forgive them because if the good Lord bless you to live long enough, sometime your memory does fail you. And we know what susu is. Susu is a good thing. We need to bring back more susu in St. David's. We need to bring back more susu in St. George's. We need to bring back more susu in the Northwest. Because that is all for parents, that is all grandparents, and that is all parents. Save a little money, so each one could help one so they could get up to buy the things that they couldn't otherwise afford on their. So if you want to call me susu, I'm happy to take the word susu, because the more susu we have in Grenada, the better off we will be. So let me say this. Say that again. Them bangers closed down. Them bangers closed down. Them bangers closed down. When only reach River Sally tomorrow, what we saying? Them bank closing down. Good. So I want to say this. I want to say this because we have children in the crowd. We have young people in the crowd. When you come from your village and your community. You have to make the village and the community a better place for the people coming after you. We have to make the community a better place for the people coming after you. And let me say this. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with caring about what happens to our young people. I was walking, I went down by Sugar Bowl, Tuesday or Wednesday. You had some young fellas there, young, around their age. 8:30, 9 o'clock in the night. They put up a ladder on a pole and they're trying to knock down a piece of ply because they want to try and put up a basketball ring so they can play a little basketball. And I said to them, when you see that kind of enthusiasm, 8:30 in the night, young men, 8, 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, wanting to play some sports, wanting to play a little basketball, and we don't even have a basketball ring in the community for them with a backbone that could play. And after 9 years of representation, and I could walk down there the same night, and I said to them, you know what, I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm bringing some basketball, and I'm bringing some football for you. I asked them, the next day we were there, they were waiting, they were excited, we brought the basketball, we brought the football, we brought the pump for them. But we didn't stop. 2 days later, Kenon Mitchell, my cousin, went down there and put up the basketball ring and put up a backboard for them so that they could play. So I am saying to you, if in 2 days I could walk into a village and see that something needs attending to, and we can attend to it right then and there, and we're not in power yet, ask yourself what kind of representation you will get when we get into power. Ask yourself what kind of representation we will get when we get into power. But we don't want power for power's sake. We don't want power to run around in 3 little black sheep like 3 little blind mice with a set of man running up and down about. We don't want power, so we will be begging, oh God, give me another chance, one more time. We want power, so that 10 years from now, we can say, all our community groups, all our village groups, all our village councils, all our parish councils are up and working. We want power so we can say we've upgraded all our sporting facilities throughout St. David's and the length and breadth of Grenada. We want power so that we can say there's a basketball court, a netball court, a tennis court. And let me say this. All sports is good sports. All sports is good sports. It's not just athletics. It's not just football. It's not just cricket. Is there a tennis court in St. David? Throughout the entire parish, is there a tennis court in St. David? So if you have a child that is talented in tennis, and they don't have the opportunity to go to a school in St. George's where they might be exposed to tennis, you will never know whether you have a tennis star on your hand because we don't have the facilities for a tennis court. Is there a public swimming pool in St. David so our children can learn to swim? The only place they can learn to swim is on the beach. But the reality is this. Without a swimming pool, you will know whether your child has the potential to be an Olympic athlete or not. Is there a cycle track in St. David's so that our children could become Olympian cyclists or world cyclists? We don't have that. If you have to ride bike, you must risk riding in the road and risk the possibility of dying. So, when we talk about transformation, that is what we are talking about. 5, 10 years from now, we have to be able to say, these are the 3 and 4 tennis courts we built so that the people of St. David, so that the young children, the young men and women of St. David can play tennis. We have to be able to say, this is the swimming pool that we built and it's been maintained by us so that our children can learn to swim. Let me talk about swimming for a little bit. We are an island. Hey! We are an island. Grenada's maritime space is 75 times that of the land. So we have more seawater, 75 times more. That's our legal territorial space. Well, if you don't know what Susu is, how you expect him to know that? So, we should aim as a country. Now they say you have to bend the tree while it's young. So if you're old and you don't want to learn to swim, I will forgive you. But all our children, 15 years and under, should be taught to swim. And swimming should become mandatory in our schools, not just because it's good exercise, not just because you can save a life, but if you learn to swim, you're on your way to starting to earn money right away. All of the marine industries that exist, boat building, boat repairs, boat cleaning, boat engineering, boat designing, you need to be able to swim. All of the marinas that we have being built, if our children learn to swim, even before they turn an adult, there's an opportunity for them to make money. There's an opportunity for them to earn an income. But it's not just that. We have all these boat races that take place in Grenada. We have all these regattas that come in. When you learn to swim, we should be teaching our children how to sail. We should be teaching our children how to sail. It's not a white man's sport. It's not a white man's world. It's a sport just like cricket and football. But are we exposing our children to that? Outside of the work boats from Guelph and Woburn and Grandlands, what happened to the rest of us? St. David's has more coastline and more beaches than most other parishes. So we too have to teach our children how to sail, how to race boats. Because you know what? These sports are multi-billion-dollar sporting events that take place all over the world. And the same way you could have teams from the Cayman Island, the BVI, the Turks and Caicos Island, is the same way we should have teams from Petit Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada. So when I talk about transforming, and when I talk about the fact that swimming should be a subject in school, just like maths and English, is because it's a skill. That is the kind of transformation we are talking about. And it don't need no money. It don't need no money. All it needs is leadership, willpower, and the willingness to implement it. Because the reality is, we have the water, we have the beaches, and there are tons of retired sailors, boat engineers, boat mechanics, living in Grenada. You go down to Yacht Club, you go to Trouble Bay, you go to Corinth, you go to Clark's Court Bay. Do you know what they're doing? They're importing the labor. They're importing South Africans. They're importing people from Latin America because we are not teaching our children that these are careers. We're not exposing them to those kinds of things. So, when we talk about the plans for St. David's has to be the parish that is the test case for the rest of Grenada. St. David's has to be the parish that becomes the test case for the rest of Grenada. I want all of you to turn around and look at that building that is in ruins across there. I want you all to look at the building because we need to do a little history lesson, especially for the young people. That building with the red, yellow, and green and the white on top. That building should be a museum to the People's Revolutionary Government, because that building was owned by Sebastian, still is owned by the estate of Sebastian Thomas. And for those of you who don't know, Sebastian Thomas was one of the founding members of the New Jewel Movement. The New Jewel Movement was born, bred and conceived in St. David's. Sebastian Thomas, Unison Whiteman, Teddy Victor from Vincent's. These are the people that Maurice Bishop and Court came to after they had formed the New Jewel Movement. So I want you all to understand that the only parish revolution and change and transformation that start for in Grenada is this golden parish in the east called St. David. The Bible didn't say wise men came from the west. The Bible didn't say wise men came from the west. And there's a reason for that. Because if I was a member of the Northwest constituency, I would lie and tell people of east. We good? We good? Mic check. Mic check. Rock. Hey. Hey.
One, two. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 1. Hey. All right, so I think we might overcome the battery issue. So I was making the point. After 4.5 years, we know what the legacy of the revolution was. By 1979, when the revolution overthrew Sir Eric Matthew Geary, we knew what the legacy of Sir Eric Matthew Geary was. When the revolution collapsed, they already had the National Insurance Scheme. They already had the Marketing and National Importing Board. The airport was well on its way to completion. Free universal secondary school education had been established. Places like the current government school had been built. Places like the Happy Hill Secondary School, I think, was already well on their way. Tens of Grenadian students got the opportunity to become doctors and engineers because they studied in Cuba. Many Grenadians learned Russian and Eastern Soviet language because they went to Russia and so on. We knew what the legacy of the revolution was. We knew what the legacy of Sir Eric Matthew Geary was. He gave black people in Grenadians the working class pride, confidence they could stand up against the plantation owners.
he brought St. George's University to Grenada. Well, hold on. Hold on, I want you to tell me. Some of you have been around longer than me. Since 1985, uninterrupted, 38 years of representation for St. George's Northwest. And I had to drive through St. George's Northwest yesterday evening, coming from the funeral of our dear sister, Judy Williams. Let me tell you what legacy is about. Some of you all may not have heard of Judy Williams, or may not know who Judy Williams is. But Judy Williams is a lady that was born in Munich, and then she moved to the West Coast. She in fact went to Trinidad to become a nun, but that wasn't her calling. She came back to Grenada during the revolution and worked with the revolution. When the revolution collapsed, she, like many other persons, was so disappointed, she went to Trinidad. But while in Trinidad, the spirit still came to her and said to her, come back to Grenada and work. Sister Judy Williams established what is called Grencoda. Sister Judy Williams established what is called the Grenada Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic. That's a private citizen. She's died, but I could stand up right here and give you two legacy things she's done. The Grenada Legal Aid and Counseling Clinics on St. John Street. It has provided help to hundreds of Grenadians who otherwise wouldn't have a lawyer. Grencoda has trained hundreds of Grenadians in all kinds of skills, from computers to nursing. People who become lawyers, doctors, all of them came through Grencoda. That's one individual working as an NGO. We have a person who's led this country for 23 of the last 27 years. We're going into 24 of the last 28. I want all you to tell me what is the legacy we have as a result of that leadership. Point me to a shining example of what we could be proud of as Grenadians over the last 9 years. Point me what we could be proud of from 1995 to 2003. I can tell you what I am seeing. What I am seeing is that our mountain range and our lands need replanting. What I am seeing is that we need to replant our nutmegs, or you're back? We're back on. Okay, good. So, starting with St. David, when we formed the government, and I'm glad the little children are here, each and every one of us have to commit to going back to the land and replanting our cloves, replanting our cinnamon, replanting our nutmeg. Because we have to understand, that is what built our foreparents. That is what built Grenada. And that is what will continue to build Grenada. The land ain't going nowhere. The rain's still falling. And we must understand that if we want our independence, if we want our confidence, if we want our strength, we have to use the natural gifts that we have been blessed with here. And so the replanting of our spices is going to be a national priority. And we will ensure that from the kids in school, we will bring back the 4-H clubs. We will bring back the 4-H clubs. And we will ensure that we teach our children the value, the pride, and the money to be made from agriculture. So that you become independent. So that even if a politician like me comes and talk nonsense to you, you could say to him, boss, you see me quarter acre here? You see me half acre here? I ain't depending on you. So if you're talking nonsense, I can tell you you're talking nonsense, because I'm depending on my cocoa, my nutmeg, my spices, my cloves, not taxpayers' money that you want to take and give back to me and make me feel that you running my life or you control my life. Right. So we have to understand in St. David that we are sitting on money And it is time we get up, pick the money up, and start growing the economy in St. David's. So I intend to ensure that we bring a tea factory to Grenada. So all of the lemongrass that we're not planting, all of the lemongrass that could grow like weed, all of the lemongrass that grows quickly, I'm warning you all now, go and start planting them now. Because we want to make sure that when we open the lemongrass tea factory, that you can supply the lemongrass. Because we can't have a shell, and then when we need the supply, you all are planting the lemongrass. Lemongrass is one of the easiest things to grow. You stick it on the side there, in 2 weeks it's spreading like wild bush. Now when you go to New York and so on, it's 5 and 6 years for lemongrass tea. So when I say we are sitting on money here, well, lemongrass is just the beginning. When I say we are sitting on money here, I mean that we have to recognize that the opportunity to empower ourselves, the opportunity to be wealthy, the opportunity to make money rise in the land. And I can tell you, there is no country on earth, no island on earth that is successful, that does not encourage its people to engage in food security, that does not encourage its people to grow as much food as possible, that does not encourage its people to eat as much as the food it grows. And so to ensure that St. David set the example, and I want you all to appreciate this, St. David's have some of the largest tracts of land sitting here. Requin Estate right behind me here, 100 acres. Bacolet, Belial, Campbell's Estate, all of these lots are sitting there. And so we need to go back to the land. We need to teach our children education about agriculture, and we need to make sure that we put and secure the future of our children by ensuring that we keep in Grenadian hands the large tracts of lands that I've talked about. Because make no mistake, Grenada is a beautiful place. Make no mistake, when people come to Grenada, they appreciate the beauty of Grenada. And make no mistake that if we don't protect Grenada's legacy for the next generation of Grenadians to come, they run the risk of living as second-class citizens in their own country. And so we have to ensure that we plant more food, that we eat more of what we grow, and that we begin to plant on a scale that will allow us to export our crops as we once did. So rest assured, as MP for St. David, I will be walking the length and breadth of St. David with you, and as Prime Minister of Grenada, to ensure that we rebuild agriculture in St. David's, to make sure that St. David's becomes a powerhouse and a bread basket to feed St. David's, to feed Grenada, and ultimately for us to be able to export our products and to earn foreign exchange to continue the growth and development of St. David. So I want you all to appreciate this. Every child who is born in Grenada, every child who is educated in Grenada should aspire to not just be the Prime Minister of Grenada, but to be a better Prime Minister than the one you're replacing. Let me say that again. Every child who is born in St. David, every child who is educated in St. David should aspire to not just be a Prime Minister, but to be a Prime Minister better than the one you're replacing. That means we have to be prepared to move St. David. We have to be prepared to move St. David and to move Grenada forward. So I want you guys to affirm with me that come on the 23rd of June 2022, you will take your right index finger, dip it in the ink, you will take that pen, put that X or correct next to the heart that is beating, next to the heart that will collectively pump blood into Grenada and move Grenada forward. Let me say this again. Move, Grenada. Move, Grenada. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. As we always do it, we must have time, 15 minutes at least. I have to jump on a call with the New York folks, just so you all understand. The people in New York planned a trip for us to come to New York 2 or 3 months now. And I canceled the trip, much to them being upset, because I told them, as the MP for St. David's, I prefer to be here in Requin with you rather than jumping up on a plane frolicking in New York. But I promised them I will do a Zoom call with them at 9:30, so I want to keep the call. But I'm making this point. Even before I got involved in public service, even before I got involved in offering myself, as a citizen of Grenada, like you, I knew what the complaint was. You can't find the politician except at election time. And even at election time, sometimes you can't find them. So my guarantee to you, and I want you to hold me to it. When I become the MP for St. David, and when I become the Prime Minister of St. David's, the same way I'm walking up and down the length and breadth of the villages is the same way I intend to walk up and down the length and breadth of the villages after. Because we need to organize our villages, we need to bring back our village council, we need to make sure that our villagers can hold our politicians to account. If they're talking nonsense, you have to be able to tell them they're talking nonsense. If they're not doing the things they said they will do, you have to be able to tell them you're not doing the things that you said you will do, and we are waiting for election time. We want it done now. So I am saying to you, on behalf of the National Democratic Congress, as political leader of that party, I am guaranteeing to you that myself and all of the other 15 candidates who are offering themselves to represent you will remain accountable to you. We will remain accountable to you. And you can take that to the polling station, you can dip your ink in it, and you can put your X next to it. So thank you very much. And as I said, we have 15 minutes, questions, comments. I'm happy to take them. Thank you.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, get your questions out. Let me tell you why. When you ask a question, then clarification will be given and explanation will be given. So please come and ask a question. Well, I have a mic here, so if you want to ask the question, come and ask the question, okay?
Alright, well, since you have a question, I just want to make sure all are ready for River Sally tomorrow. So, you have a question? Alright, we have a question, Alright, they will address that. Alright. So, there's a question as to how many buses will be available and the times of the buses moving for River Sally. We will address that. The branch chair will address it. So the questions is just for me, if you have any questions for me.
You mean that one? Mr. Professor, you believe Prime Minister for our constituency?
Yes.
But I want to know, you talk, you have to say what you have to do here,
what I intend to do in St. David's.
What I intend to do here.
Good. So let me start with Requin. Blacks. Hey, Blacks. Alright. So the starting point for what you want to do in your constituency is not you. The starting point is the people. And that's why you have to walk and speak and ask people what are some of the things. Blacks, tell them what is the first thing we're doing with Requin Bay.
Yes, the first thing I go in now, Requin village and open the lagoon towards the sea. Because now
The water now black up now, so you have a lot of mosquito come up. Oh, God. When I win the election, this rounds, trust me on that one. I go down the first money I get in my pocket, I go to open the village, open the lagoon road, and make the water flow nice and decent to the sea. I mean, you have a lot of streams down there too, you know.
Right.
Down in the lagoon down there, where tourist boat and things used to come before.
Tell them.
Yeah, in the past time, the late times, when my grandfather and my grandmother and them go down the village and break stone and things. The lagoon come right up, nice and decent. So, anytime I win this election now, I'm gonna open that. That's the first thing. I pay my money. I don't have a lot of money, but now I have a lot because the partner will give me some money to open up down there.
So I make this point because I want us to appreciate something. What Blacks is telling you. What Blacks is telling you and what we don't appreciate is that Requin had a deep water harbor. I want us to understand our history here in St. David's. And I want us to teach our young people our history. Requin had a deep water harbor. That means schooners and so on used to be able to come in there. And if we reopen the deep water harbor, it allows the cargo boat to come in. It allows them to take our produce. It allows them to export to Trinidad and all the other places. Precisely. And one of the things we need to encourage is trade amongst the islands. So it's just a simple thing like rebuilding a jetty, dredging the harbor, and reopening the lagoon could immediately transform Requin and the surrounding areas of St. David's. And let me tell you this, while we don't have a tongue, and we don't want the kind of tongues that we did have, we don't want ghettos. So, to answer the question, St. David needs a port. It had a port. We had a deep water harbor, right? And Requin is best suited for that. Let me finish. The kind of tongue we want in St. David's, is a modern tongue. And that modern tongue is a place where all of the central government services are located in one place that's accessible. It's a place where all of our farmers produce, where our fish produce, and where our animal, like meat, chicken, rabbits, goat, sheep, beef, can be bought as fresh meat, fresh fish, in a central place where our fruit vendors can bring their fruit and know that they're covered from the rain, the wind, and the sun, where they know that they have access to a bathroom and a toilet, because if they're sitting by the side of the road for the entire day, they don't have any place to use a bathroom or toilet. So I'm giving you 2 points about what I intend to do for St. David. The tongue we are bringing to St. David is going to be a modern, open-air tongue where we can get the central services we need, from dental to medical, to fresh meat, to fresh fish, to fresh produce, where it gives us a central location that we can all come to. But it's not just about a tongue like that. We need to provide recreational facilities for our young people. We need to provide recreational facilities for our older people. We need to provide outdoor gyms in our pastures so our senior citizens can continue to exercise, can continue to keep their muscle mass, and can continue to remain healthy. So in all of our playing fields, I intend to support and encourage the creation of outdoor gyms so that the young, the middle, and the old can exercise. When I raise the issues about the things that are missing in St. David's, but it's not just St. David's, it's reflective of most of Grenada except perhaps St. George's. No tennis court. No tennis court, period. So tennis is not for people from St. David's. Very few basketball courts. No swimming pool, so you can never learn to swim outside of the beach. So I'm saying those things to say those are the things, and that's why you need village councils. Because it is not just what I want. It is not just my plan. It is a plan that the people don't want. It is a plan that the people are resisting. How are we going to get the plan done? It requires the involvement of the people. That's why I call Blacks. Blacks, born and bred in Requin, he knows more about Requin than I do. So if I'm not prepared to listen to him and give him the opportunity to say, boss, this is what you need to look at. Boss, this is my observation after living here 30 or 40 years. Then who am I to say to him, Blacks, you don't know what you're talking about and I know better than you. So the point I'm making is the plans we want, our plans, there's a manifesto. There are lots of things I would like to do. But the starting point must be, we have to do it with the people. We have to do it for the people. And we have to be prepared to take the counsel and advice of the people. Alright? What's starting from? The plans I have start from today. They start from now. I just told you, if I walk in a place and I see there's something that needs to be done and we can do it, we do it. I said to you when I went down to Requin and I saw the young men needed basketballs and footballs, we got them. You don't have to know about that. Well, maybe you're not young. Right.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
This is where we're going to kind of close it off for tonight.
So, as I said, I have a 9:30 that I need to get to. Right, I'm going to take one more question. Simply because I promised the folks in New York I would do the Zoom call with them. And I don't want them to, as I said, I canceled the trip because I wanted to be here. So go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mitch, I would like you to answer something for me right now because I want to know when you're getting into office, how are you going to deal with the justice system in where that corrupted right about now? The justice system is very corrupted. The justice system. Within them lawyers and Iraqian. Because I go through some situations with them in terms of like and interview me, get some graduates. And because of the UN, I try to get them to give me back my place and nothing being paid, nothing coming no compensation, nothing. Especially when they call one and they call it that no one will actually senior in the Caribbean. Like one man, like one into black
Okay, do you know if are you aware of the legal counsel? Are you aware of the legal counsel, the complaints body that you can file complaints against lawyers? Well, we may have to speak about it privately because I need to know the details. In the absence of the details, I can't tell you. Right, but I'm saying, you see, in the absence of the details, I can't answer the specific case. Right. So we can talk privately after. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
So I'm just telling you, if you handle justice,
Sure. No problem.
you have money, you're just done.
I agree. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry. All right, Carib, Malt, and Stag will be given to all the holders of the tickets, okay? So, Mr. Deacon, you ready? Yeah, call it up, that's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you here. You'll see you come up and you ask a question, you get clarification. Remember, we will have more meetings where you can ask your questions. Remember, Mr. Deacon, he got to run now. You have to run now, he must run now. So again, we say thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise one more time again for Mr. Deacon, the Beacon. Somebody say NDC. Somebody say NDC. Somebody say forward with the NDC. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we leave, let us recognize the Most High God. Father God, we thank you. We didn't have anything to bother us tonight. Father God, thank you for the message. Father God, we thank you that we are safe. The message went down well. The people received it. And Father God, we pray for our brother Deacon and all the members of the NDC, even the members of the opposition. But we pray especially for good governance of Grenada. Father God, we thank you for the people of Requin and St. David's and Grenada on a whole. Father God, help us. Help us. We believe in you and we know. Father God, help us. Help us for change. And we know we deserve better. In Jesus' name. Somebody say. Somebody say. Somebody say NDC. Somebody say Deacon.